One decision at 18 basically hijacked my life and turned into a 2-year, $50,000 obsession.
This is what I would call a sickness.
Since today's episode is mostly welding to cowl, I wanted to finally tell you how this whole 67 Mustang Fastback build actually started. When I was 18, my dad casually said we should build a classic car someday. He probably forgot he even said it, but I didn't. I jumped on Facebook Marketplace and the algorithm shoved Mustangs down my throat. 66, 67, 68, all the ones that make you do stupid things. I didn't have the money, so I took out a $10,000 loan because apparently I hate stability.
I just went to the credit union, taking out a loan to build my credit. We can get this Mustang.
So my dad and I rented a truck and drove 14 hours to North Carolina.
It's darker in here, but we rented the truck. I got all the cash, got it out today. You know what? Sometimes in life, man, gotta treat yourself and get yourself something nice because you never know what could happen.
And once we arrived and saw this Mustang for the first time, it wasn't good. The car was painted in bedliner, rust was hidden everywhere, and he didn't put it in one photo at all. Now, I should have known this car was in rough shape from the photos, but I didn't. I couldn't tell. I was too inexperienced. And of course, Mustangs are gonna be rusty if they're old, but you gotta expose everything in the description. So when I got back home, I began to search again. Then, the first guy I ever messaged still had his listing up, a 67. We went and saw it because it was only 30 minutes away, and immediately both knew this was the one. Rusty floors, rough around the edges, but savable. He took our offer for $5,700 even though he had it listed for $11,000. I got it trailered home, and that was the real beginning. The very first thing I ever done on this car was remove the engine and transmission, having never done anything with a car before. Me and my friend Cindy loaded the C4 transmission into his truck so we could bring it and get it rebuilt. But then he made fun of me because it wasn't actually heavy.
Come on, 1, 2, 3. You didn't even need me for this. You trash. That ain't nothing but a heavy power clean.
Oh. Actually, Cindy is a former NFL player who gave me the opportunity of a lifetime. He's the reason I'm actually able to build a car like this, and I owe him a lot. He's taught me more than I ever thought I'd learn. I wouldn't have got this car without him because he taught me that money always comes back, so you might as well spend it. His channel's in the description below. Then everything came apart. Floors, aprons, radiator support, interior. My welds were terrible, but I was learning. My dad convinced me to replace the cowl, which terrified me, but we cut it out and found the destroyed firewall behind it. Good thing we did.
But inside, we cut a little piece to see. Look how rusty inside. So we're gonna drill every one of these out. Make sure this pillar's in good
My
shape.
dad and I have seen the worst of this cowl to the point it was completely rusted out. If it rained, water would seep all into the firewall section. So to see this cowl transform to an old rusty piece to a brand new piece, which we made an entire new lip for the firewall, was pretty cool. It's a step in the right direction and we are almost to the finish line. I decided I wanted to sandblast the whole car myself instead of paying someone almost $2,000. So I bought a blaster, built a tarp tent in the garage like an idiot, turned the place into the Sahara Desert, but it revealed every hole that needed fixing, and we just kept going.
Anyways, sandblaster works great. Car's getting cleaned. Everything's good on that. It is very messy inside of there.
At this point, I invested in so much time cutting up this car, sandblasting it, welding in so many different pieces, all for my dad to tell me that I need to build a fastback because a coupe isn't my dream. So after running into some money by selling my 2006 Buick LaCrosse, my dad and I decided we're gonna buy a coupe to fastback conversion kit.
Guys, we made it to Kentucky Mustang, all the way in Kentucky. 8 hours from home. I'm about to walk inside. A couple minutes till I'm a fastback kit owner. And then drive right back home.
So we ultimately drove from Buffalo to Kentucky, loaded the Fastback conversion kit into a rental truck the wrong way, strapped it down with Harbor Freight clamps, and prayed it didn't fall out for the 12-hour drive home. One of my favorite memories.
Alright, so we went to Harbor Freight. We did the Harbor Freight whack job special here. Found some interesting stuff.
I watched 3 YouTube videos on this Fastback conversion before I decided I'm going to cut my car in half and attempt to convert my car to a Fastback myself. And here's where we're at now. This thing finally looks like the dream. A 289 stroke to a 331 making around 450 horsepower. New metal just about everywhere. Fastback conversion almost done and about $52,000 deep. But I don't care, I'd never sell it. The car is memories. It's my dad and I building something that will eventually outlive both of us.
Okay guys, I need to bring a few things up from the inventory that I briefly showed in the video, but we need the 2 front aftermarket fenders, which I imagine fit terrible, but we need them just because before I weld that cowl on, I want to make sure it aligns with the fenders. So I got one right here. We're gonna bring this to the other side. I just feel like this isn't lining up at all. No, they don't fit. Oh, I mean, that's better right there. All right, I think the moral of the story here is these are gonna need a lot of work, and I don't even know if I'm gonna use them to help line up the cowl because I just feel like these aren't gonna even be right to begin with.
Why? Why are they?
Because aftermarket stuff isn't good at all. Guys, let me know your experience.
What's bad? This part?
No, like this. This.
What do you mean this?
Like nothing's lined up anymore.
Oh.
This cowl and this dash is basically the last big piece that needs to be welded. I have a lot of touch-up welding to do all around this car on spots that I just didn't finish or got lazy on. But this cowl and this dash being welded in is the last big thing. Now it's not as simple as just welding it. There's a lot of alignment, and that's why I put the fenders on, just to make sure that these lines are straight. And I realized that I'm good for the majority part. Now when I say I have a lot of touch-up welding to do, this is what I mean. Spots like right here need to be hammered down and welded closer. I gotta fill little holes like this all over the car. I have spots down here that I need to finish and weld in. I gotta weld these solid on both sides. I gotta weld this right here in. The thing is, I got my last exams on Tuesday this upcoming week. I have 3 final exams for college and then I'm done with school. It's over. So I can apply all my energy towards this car and getting it done, which I'm so excited for because I know if I put in hours on this, it's gonna be going literally like a snowball rolling down a cliff. Now, the first thing I need to do is take these fenders off and get them out the way so I have access to my cowl. Now I have to take these fenders back off because the fenders actually didn't help when I try to use them to line up the cowl because the fenders are off themselves. So I'm gonna use the alignment holes on the cowl. And these holes come in the top and bottom, and as long as they're lined up, you should be good to go. But I had to replace the lip under this tape, and because of that, the original hole that was there is no longer there. So I have to drill it out. So these are alignment holes, so the top cowl knows exactly where to be placed, and I'm gonna drill them out because I had to replace this lip. I made a custom lip under this cowl here, and the hole is no longer underneath, so I gotta replace it. So I used a smaller drill bit as a pilot to go in the center, and then I got my big drill bit to finish the rest of the job. And I had to go along all 6 holes in here to get this done. Now that I can accurately line up the top and bottom cowl, I get these long poles and stick them into the holes so the cowl goes into the place it needs to be. Then I get a red marker and mark an X on every location I want to drill out for a plug weld. 60 to 70 holes I just drilled. And it lasted a whole DeWalt battery, surprisingly, so I'm happy for that. Good job, DeWalt. Actually, I just learned if I just get a big drill bit like this and stick it in there and spin it, it deburrs it perfectly, so that's gonna save a lot of time. You see this burry one right here? You see that big girl? Go like this. Boom, done. Next. The more you know. The top of the cowl is now ready to be aligned and welded in for good. All right, so it's official. This underside of this cowl is never gonna be seen again because I'm gonna clamp it down for good and then I'm gonna start welding it. And it's the same process every single time. I get a die grinder, get all the weld through primer out of there, plug weld it and go all the way down. Every time I get to this point where I can weld in something for good, it's a little intimidating. And I think it's because I'm scared that I mess something up or something's not accurately on. But I guess, as I learned throughout this car, that's part of the game. There is stuff that's messed up, and that's what makes my car my car. But after being interrupted by a delivery, I finished welding the majority of the cowl on. I finished welding this side from down here to up here. There's a little bend right here, and I couldn't get it to lay flat without renewing that curve, making a new bend. So I'm gonna put the fender on just loosely, just to see how it interacts with that, and if I could just kind of hammer that down, or is that a prominent line that is seen. So let's put this on. Basically, I just want to see if the fender is going to cover up where that gap is. Fender roughly fit on, and what I forgot is that the windshield trim, the little chrome stainless steel piece that goes around outside of the windshield, is going to be covering this. But all right, that's pretty cool.
I'm literally scared on how these fenders are gonna fit and why they're so high right here. Like, I'm not entirely sure what that height is coming from. I'm not sure if that's from this piece bending down like that, but that's a little scary. If you guys know what that is, let me know. So I cleaned up all the welds now. You guys can see fully welded in. I just have to go along the bottom side here and weld in the bottom side. So I'm gonna take this dash back off. I just wanted to see how good it lined up right here, and it lines up pretty good. By the way, the Bills just won. I was just watching the game, so I'm happy about that. But let's weld the underside of this cowl.
Now, one thing you may or may not pick up is I'm actually welding this upper cowl from the bottom side. And the reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to be grinding on top of the cowl, and I drilled the holes on the bottom side so you will see no marks on top besides the burn, and it actually helped out a lot.
Wow guys, what a good feeling. Not my back being broke from laying in this uncomfortable bed, although it's a very nice bed. A 67 Mustang is a bed I'd recommend to anyone, but the cowl is welded. Look how nice these marks are. I don't have to do barely any grinding. The only grinding I'm gonna have to do is on this edge right here, which the window sits directly on. But now, I showed you guys these pieces earlier, but essentially they attach the apron to the cowl like this. But you guys see how it doesn't fit? Well, that's because I had to cut all this off because it was super rusty, and a lot of this is when I first started welding, I replaced so much. Now, I know this looks crappy. I wish I could redo it, but I didn't intend on ever going this far with that car. And that's on both sides. There was rust patch right here, and there's a rust patch right here. And you can see my welds, which I'm gonna have to fix eventually. And if I would have known, I would have just replaced the apron, but I didn't. I never thought I'd go this far into the car, making it a fastback. Now, essentially, I have to make this piece right here, and all I gotta do is cut a square sheet of metal and then just weld it in. What used to be a super complicated problem for me, now I'm just like, oh, that's gonna take literally 10 minutes to do, which is a nice feeling, but it's still annoying work. So let's make this piece right here.
I had some leftover 18 gauge sheet metal that I used to measure, and then I cut out a new square from the 18 gauge sheet metal. This is not a complicated cut, by the way. It literally took me 2 minutes, and then once I had that new metal, I kind of cleaned it off with a wire wheel. I folded the edge over, and then I just welded it in. This weld is super quick.
Alright, so now you guys can see, I know it's like a mirror finish, and I have a little bit of a hole to fill, but it's a good weld underneath. It went all the way through, which is nice, and then this will actually sit on there now. I'm not gonna weld this on just yet because I wanna wait for you guys to respond. If you remember, I put the fender on here, and the fender was sitting way above this apron, so I wanna know your guys' opinion on that. Also, I'm sorry for a short video, I just have a lot of tests, but I have to ask you guys something. Is there anyone in Arizona, anywhere around Arizona, who drives a manual Mustang or anything that would be willing to meet up between the 13th and 18th for a video, because I'm going down there for a little bit and I know there's a bigger Mustang crowd in Arizona. So if that's you or you know anyone, connect me, comment, write an email to my email, because I really want someone to show me their 67, 68, 66, 65 Mustang, and I think it would be super cool to collab in Arizona. So if that's you, let me know. If not, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.